are grateful to God. The reason for this is not any other thing but that we want to have the youth infused properly into the Labour Party. The growth of this party depends solely on, and this debate was an opportunity to draw out some of our youth from their comfort zone. I know many of you, especially the contestants, many of you did not know where the AMAC office was. Friday last week gave me an opportunity to know that. Many of you did not know where the state office was, and the members of the party. These are strategic places they are supposed to know. And I must say that if we interrogate further, we may be surprised that most people may not even know the word offices. Of course, we may not have word offices at all, but we know that we have some words that have word offices. Please, I want to appeal to all of us that I need your help. I need you all to help me. Because the reason why I seem to be very zealous about this work in the Labour Party is that we don't have any alternative. We don't have, if we had a better alternative to Labour Party, I would say, okay, make your choice. But for now, whether it is the PDP or the APC, there are not better choices, especially when we want to have the youth to govern the country. I want to plead with us, please don't lose hope on this party. Because for any thriving organization, there is always a time of trial. There is always a time of test. There is always a time of challenge. And I feel like even crying because I know that this journey started many years ago, since 2017. But formally, I registered into the party in 2018. And since then, I said that no matter what will happen, that I'm not leaving this party. Even if everybody will leave, I prefer to be the last man standing. So I want to be with us, please. There will be people who will discourage you. I am privileged to have been suspended in this party for 6 months. Yes. And for the period I was suspended, I remained very, very committed to the cause of this party. I was campaigning for the party while I was on suspension. In fact, on the Thursday before the Saturday of the general election, I waited for my wife to leave for work. I carried all my children and we went to Federal Secretariat and some other streets in Abuja to campaign for Labour Party while I was on suspension. Is to tell you that the vision that drove me to Labour Party was not just a place where I will come to eat and wine and dine. I know that there will be a time that we need to work. Forget about the things that we may be looking at it now that we've not benefited from the fruit of our toil. Hold on a little more. And I pray that by the grace of God, that the fruit of our labor we are going to reap it. We are not going to sow for another person to reap. We have worked and we have the right and the entitlement to demand to be compensated. So with that, having said that, I want to again thank the contestants for those who participated right from Friday, especially those who lost out at the knockout stage. We will have a total of 5,000 naira for your transportation. And then we still re-emphasize that for the first, the winner will still go with 150,000. Hey! The second position will still go with, I think, 100,000 naira. And the third position will go with 50,000 naira. The last three, that is the 650. We'll go with 20,000 naira each. We are not doing this because we have the funds, but we are doing it because we want to set a record that other political parties will be running to beat us, with us. Yes, we need to set a standard, and this thing is just to tell us that there will be a time also for the contest, for those who are aspiring for one position or the other. This has given you an opportunity for those like Anyika who is aspiring for councillorship. You have had the test of it, so you have an experience now. By the time you get to the debate, because there will be a debate for all our aspirants. We you need to know the stuff that you are made to work with. You need to know what you have to offer us. And that it will even be more intense than this one.
Of course.
Youth, number 2, capacity, and number 3, governance. Youth is known as vigor, resilience, energy, while we define, according to the United Nations, the age from 15 to 24 is classified as youth. African Union posits that from the age 15 to 35, while Nigeria as a country recognized age 15 to 29. Then capacity simply means ability to effectively perform, and governance would say it is a process of managing government affairs. With all these indices, we can accept that the youth of Nigeria lack the capacity to govern Nigeria. Since governance is ethic, it is rigorous and profound, which requires a lot of experiences, a lot of professionalism, and what have you. Therefore, I use the following point to buttress my concept: lack of experience, wrong political culture and socialization, financial constraint, institutional framework, and social misconduct. Lack of experience. We all know that experience is important. Our youth nowadays, they lack the adequate or the experience that is required to govern Nigerian states, which is cumbersome. Most of our youth in the various activities in the past that they are involved in, such as NSAS, which eventually could not see the light of the day, and many protests that they had engaged in the past could not see the light of the day. It shows mismanagement in the side of our youth. That should not mean I am going to discredit the reality of the fact that our youth are promising. But governance requires a lot of technicality, and it has to be taught thoroughly before one resumes the office. Secondly, wrong political culture and socialization. We all know that we are all the products of the society. What assurance are we having that if our youth are given the political responsibilities, they are not going to perform woefully? Since they are being exposed to nepotism, tribalism, ethnic bigotry, religion.
I'm here to uphold the notion that say that Nigerian youth lack the capacity to work in the following water. Nigeria is an application that needs oxygen, but heirs without us to wait first. Let the air come into the air. Saying that Nigerian youth lack the capacity to govern is like being like this patient. This is fueled by what we are used to, white lies we are doing, and the fear of the My co-debaters see the dominance of the genotocracy from 96 to 8 as a birthright because of these lands. To today, youth like Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso, they are proving that youth are capable to do. He has built, has revolutionized the agriculture, built gold mining, and has made security obtainable in Burkina Faso. Secondly, corruption is another thing that is making Nigerian youth making it seem like Nigerian youth cannot do. On 13th of December this year, the former governor of Eko State was bailed by the Federal High Court of Abuja on 80.2 billion naira count charge brought against him by the FCC. But on 7th of this month, we have VDM, popularly known as the Man, who launched a website so that public can track every transaction that came into his NGO. He claimed that nobody can do this. We have global capacity. We have musicians like winning their peers in music. We have Hitman winning best African player of the year. But unlike our leaders, they are in the diaspora. They are not there to be found. Another one is foreign debt. We see the foreign debt accruing, going to trillions of debt. But we have Nigerian tech-savvy youths who are running their companies without any debt. We have Paystack, we have Pada, we have Senexpay. All these things were built by Nigerian youths without any foreign loan. Another point I want to make clear here is inexperience. It's a common thing and erroneous belief to say that Nigerian youths are inexperienced, unprepared, and poor. But we have, history has it that Yakubu Gowon was the youngest military chief of staff at the age of 31. These are Nigerian youths who have shown good governance. We have ended, we have diseases like malaria and all that. Now, in 2020, Nigeria is moved answer. This shows that Nigerians can organize and form humanitarian movement. We have former minister of former prime minister of Finland. We have Senator Mali, who assumed office at the age of 34. Former prime minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern, who assumed office at 37. Show that youth has the capacity to lead. Another point, maybe showing that Nigerian youth can do this is we have capacity to run active government. When you watch Mike on podcast, Oblong was asked how far is corruption in Nigeria. He indicated that when he wrote to President Muhammad Buhari on recovering $69 billion, nothing was done. He also wrote to Attorney General, in fact, the Attorney General after 2 months asked that and said, Oblong wants to recover $69 billion. Have you recovered it? But we have Ibrahim Traore building first refinery where gold are building. Recently, Burkina Faso they extracted 93 kg of gold from 142 tons of fine gold. These are huge, proving that in this same thing can happen in Nigeria. Another point that I have to state here is that active government. We have so many things being there. We have recently Samuel Majabu, he won the Mr. International. We have Chidinma Adesina, who won Mrs. Africa. These are Nigerian men proving that they can do this. With this point, I am here to tell the chairman, my audience, and my fellow co-educators that Nigerian youth, they have the capacity to do. They can lead Nigeria in the right path. Just like various youth, we have youth living in Senegal, Chad, we have so many of them demanding for equal partnership from different countries. Unlike before, we saw how France has been playing with all these countries, but recently, France has been told to partner in different places.
My name is Ogeze Joel Okechukwu. I am here to speak on a debate on the first motion: Nigeria youths lack the capacity to govern. Leadership is an interesting thing and also a challenging thing. Starting from the time immemorial, at the point of a conception of a woman, that is where the child starts to live out his or her leadership expectations. Now, coming to a place like our nation, Nigeria, it is expected that as a youth, We are all born differently, but our capacity, we have all grown in various capacity that we can be able to actually take positions of leadership in this country. Take for instance, we can look at our brother, Barack Obama, when he was for 7 years, he assumed the leadership position. The same thing is happening currently in defending very different aspects of leadership in various capacities in Nigeria. Most of our Nigerian brothers who are in diaspora, they are doing excellently well. I don't see any reason that will make any youth in Nigeria not assume the position of leadership. It is very, very important for us to understand at a time like this and at this period that leadership, the elderly are always calling us. The leadership to take the leadership of this country should be given to the youth so that they can actually pilot the affairs of this nation in the right direction. It is important for us to note that as time goes by, we have noticed that our elders are not meeting up the required technology that is required for us to advance the leadership mechanism of this country so that each and every one of us can actually benefit from the natural resources that God has endowed this nation with. I think with this 3 points of mine, I wouldn't want to take much of our time. I believe that if we are given the right opportunity as the youth of this nation, we're actually going to deliver what is really expected in the modern leadership that is required for this nation. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. All protocols are duly observed. I am Anya Kovici from Warren College. I stand to say that Nigerian youths are not capable to govern Nigeria. I have the following points. First of all, I want to talk about who is a Nigerian youth. Nigerian youth is someone between the age of 15 and 29, based on the new 2019 National Youth Policy, which was reduced from 15 to 25. So at the age of 29 years, a youth is still struggling to either finish his service or finish university or even starting out a business and is not capable enough to be Nigerian. Then the second one is talk about education and our exposure as youth. I still want to believe that the traditional classroom we used in 1970 is what is operational in our system, education system today. Why do I say so? When our parents were in school, they were sitting on the floor, uncompleted building. They are playing building. This is what is still obtainable in our system today. How do you build up a youth that will take up the governance of a nation like Nigeria, still living under the floor? It is not possible that they have garnered any capacity from sitting on the floor, studying in a congested classroom, having few teachers to teach them, have the capacity to build them up. They lack that capacity because they don't have it. The society, the environment, the educational system does not provide that capacity to them. I still want to believe also that the NSAS, 2020 NSAS protest has demoralized our Nigerian youth. We talk about our nation after civil war, when our military youth took over at the age of 27, 29. Yes, they were able to do it because they had Nigeria gave them a fair ground to take over. But at this time, Nigerian policy represses the youth. We have Nigerian policies that cows the youth from expressing themselves. How can they challenge the policy? How can they come up tomorrow to lead a nation that they cannot even contribute ordinary change, ordinary policy, be part of the policy making in the nation? And they are coming up. Let's look at what happens to the recent one that happens to House of Representative Alex Ikwechegh. He's just a youth that just passed through the youth stage, entering that stage. Look at the entitlement mentality he has. Is this what our youth have been fed with? Look at what happened 2 years ago in Elisha Bob, former senator for Adamawa North. Look at the type of mentality we are bringing from our youth. Even at the age of 40, 41, yet they still show that they lack that capacity to even come out to that. Can I tell you the truth? No Nigerian youth is capable to be a senator, not even a governor or a president of Nigeria, because even from our policy, even from our not too young to run, we say at 30 they can be the senator. But our policy has said that at 29 you are no longer a youth. So how can a youth still become a governor? So at 29, no youth that is from 29 below is capable to be in Nigeria. Then let's talk about value disorientation in our society. How have we inculcated value to our youth? Our youth are the product of grumbling, product of poverty, product of depression, product of nepotism, product of so many vices. How have we groomed them to lead tomorrow? Are we just trying to groom youth that will just become the same Napoleon in the kingdom of the animal? Let's talk about our time in secondary school when we are prefects. When we are junior students, we pass through so many humiliations and pain, and hoping that when we become senior students, we will unleash the men on other junior students. And let's look at it that when we become senior students, who will stop us from doing the same thing, from meeting up the same thing we all received? It's not possible. And because of that, our youth who are just products of tribalism, nepotism, they only end up displaying the same thing that they pass through. That so when we talk about capability, they have not learned it because there is value disorientation. What do we value for? We are in a Nigeria where we value what are for the end and not the beginning. How do we come to this? That our Nigerian youth know that the system is only looking for who will support these old ones, keep them tip up. They will support the old ones to win the election. They don't think about how they will go.
Go ahead. Yeah, good many questions. My name is Organises, and I'm here to address the question that said that we have the capacity to address the governance system. What is governance? Governance is administrative. Governance is an administrative system that gives its ideal vision, representation, and execution. Vision. And for you to be able to govern, you need to have a vision. That vision is what makes you to be able to try and you need to have it all over the world, all aspects of life. What if you are getting good, you are winding down your vision because you are thinking of your retirement. An idea, the world today is being captivated with modern visions and ideas, with modern apps and applications. This Nigerian youth are capable of doing much. Are we talking about policy? Policy today, Nigeria is running is not going to be found. Look at our monetary policy. The best Nigeria can be able to achieve is to Nigeria. Go to our bank today. You understand that for you to do a simple transaction, you cannot be able to meet up. One single day you wasted on that. Are we talking about foreign policies? Our foreign policy today is not at all. That's why our president is running to France to meet up with a younger president of France, who is Macron, only for him to negotiate our own materials and our minerals in the sense of economic progress. And this has made us our industry to be doing that. Are we talking about youth and sports? For every nation to be able to meet up, the youthfulness in that country need to be. And that is what fosters peace and settles on dispute in the country. Nigeria youth has good at that. Are we talking about our agricultural policy? Nigeria have a large portion of land for us to meet up with our agricultural policy, but we are not having anything because the other ones are there. Under the project, we have a single Nigerian youth who have been in that system, who under 1 year provide everything Nigeria has in terms of food is affordable, we can be able to buy to that cheaper cost. The part of rice was 6,000. But after 2 years then, another person took over, we cannot be able to afford this as old man. Are we talking about our execution? Look at every year, budget of trillions have been presented in this country, but nothing to write on about. But this is to tell you that every Nigerian you know what to do with money, to give them what they do because they are enterprising. But this old man retired and go and keep their money in their houses and in their business and their families. And that's why we are building corruptions and making them lazy survives. Are we talking about representation? Nigeria legislators have today have been a place of old men who cannot be able to articulate a normal policy. Look at our electoral act 2023, which cannot be able to meet up the electoral solutions. But we need to pass through judicial interpretation for you to be able to get benefit. Are we talking? What are we talking? It is high time we know that the only people that have what it is to be able to do. Are we talking about insecurity? Since 1999, Nigeria has been suffered what we call insecurity in this country. Billions of naira have been water, and there's nothing because the good men are there. Just give the Nigerian youth opportunity to be the commander-in-chief of this country. Wouldn't want them to be able to memorize them great to bed because those people in the field are the youth. But the youth have assaulted the military. That's why we cannot be able to achieve anything. We are taking the only thing it takes a youth to do is just to bring a sophisticated app, and they are running like drones and other things to be able to fish up population and smash it. Are we talking about our engagement and other entertainment? So my time is it up. No. Okay. So are we talking about in the field of representation? Let me also reiterate. Just recently, Nigerian youth were invented a condition that can be able to ventilate out 95% of COVID virus in the United States. And all those things are what they are able to do. But let me tell you today, the present Nigerian Nigeria we are enjoying today is a product of what we call Nigerian youth movement before 1960. Which made Nigeria to get the colonial masters head on to head on, brain to brain, in freedom engagement that actualize what we have today as a Nigeria. And after them, when they start getting old, they will not be able to meet up with the challenges of Nigeria that led to the that led to the civil war. And that is the problem we are having today. If Nigeria youth have been given the opportunity for them, we would have been the champion of the war. And there is no need even debating on this because Nigerian youth all over the world have given us the chance and they have proved themselves to have what it takes to be able to run this country. And I'm saying today, if Nigeria can betray their state and give the youth a chance to take up this country, Nigeria will be better. I am still supporting here and saying all the problems we are solving to Nigeria here. If anybody here can tell me that it's not the old thing that have planted it, let him tell me. But I'm still confident to tell you, if the chance is given to Nigeria today, we are going to take it. Look at my brother, he's a financial activist. He's there doing good in his field. Look at my sister, he's a dog, a youth of Nigeria doing good. I myself am a businessman. I have conquered many industries. I am still doing well. So Nigeria, even despite the harsh economic conditions.
My name is Jacob Benjamin. Good day, panel of judges, accurate keeper, co-debaters, audience, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to make my point to support the motion that says Nigerian youth lack the capacity to grow. And here I summarize my point into 6. 1, I talk about funding. Then 2, I talk about disunity. Number 3, I talk about social media syndrome. I talk about fear and the system failure. What am I going to summarize this point? Because of time, maybe I'll just rush into them. Because of funding, we are talking about youth between the ages of 18 to 45, or maybe between the ages of 15 to 24, according to the United Nations definition of 1981. Now, how many of them can be able to muscle up money, for instance, if you want to prosecute election, and maybe go around the 37 states, according to Supreme Court, to prosecute your elections? Now, you don't have the money, whereby you are contesting against the old guys, the old established politicians who have the money, to run around and spend it anyhow they want. When you talk about this unity where the politicians so give us, in fact, they penetrate the youth to divide them. To that means, you come to Nigeria, you see that it's only in Nigeria you will apply for job, they ask your tribe, your local government, your religion. All these to me are unnecessary simply because they are using it to, as against the merit. Maybe you are good, but you are not from that tribe. For me, it is not supposed to be, but the youth will not counter. For instance, again, you are talking about system failure where you have the sitting governor or the president, for instance, appoint the judges, appoint the INEC chairman, and then youth will participate in that election without even protesting, without even countering them, and they will be expecting to have a fair result. Now, how many youths are coming together? We are talking disunity. Because the youth are so divided, just look at the 2 occasions where we were able to come together as under obedient movement, under the NSAS, and look at the result that was on ground. Then how many youths are ready to sacrifice now that we are getting towards another round of election, 2026, 2027? How many of them are willing to come out to make such sacrifices? Because of the system failure, because of the corruption that even if they invest enough, they will not be able to get the desired results. Some are tired. That is what we are talking about here. We are talking of social media syndrome where the majority of the youth are engaged in TikTok, video, Facebook, and the rest, where they will engage the government on policy issues, where they will counter the government. They don't do that. We are talking of inexperience, limited experience, whereby the youth cannot have the money to travel around the country to maybe the developed democracies of the world like the UK, the US, to gain the experience and come back to be able to apply them. How many youths can afford to go around the world and interface with their counterparts so that when they come down, they can be able to impact? We don't have that capacity, they lack that capacity. In all this, I sum it up to say that when youths are ready, they will be able to do more. But for now, they are not ready. For instance, in Nigeria, as we are talking, youth cannot come together under the umbrella of anything to so demand that this is their right and it must stand. Because they can take bribe from the politicians who are well established. Of course, the only thing they suppress us is to keep the youth, suppressing them in poverty and in penury, so that at the end of it all, they will not be able to deny the bribe given to them during the election, the little token given to them, maybe 5,000 during the election, and that is where they divide us. But remember the old politicians come together, maybe when they want to share the national cake, you don't hear them making noise. A good example is when President Buhari contested the election and traveled down to Ogun State to visit Obasanjo, that they were not in good talking terms, simply because of the national cake. They want to share it, and you don't hear them making noise. But the youth lack that capacity of coming together to engage these established politicians who their time has expired. Some of them are incompetent. They don't even have the capacity and the character to govern us. But how can the youth come together when they are not united? And they say united we stand, divided we fall, and we are not united. And then they say the house that divided against itself cannot stand, and that is the problem of the youth. The social media syndrome, you can see when you gather, and when they are talking, you see them arguing about salaries of football, highest paid footballer. You see them arguing about highest paid musician. How many will be telling you about?
My name is Divine from Shiwa, and I'm here to speak on the debate concerning the youth involvement in governance. My first point is that youth are actually making transformative change in Nigeria. And then we will look at the last election, the 2023 election, and we look at the obedience movement, seeing the involvement of youth in that election. We'll see the mobilization, the voter education, and everything. Even I myself, I was a full-time, full-fledged member of the obedience movement, whereby we galvanized the youth, educated them in terms of their rights and everything. We'll also look at the previous NSAS movement, where we saw the leadership of the youth in activism, where now we are now seeing a reduction in the cases of police brutality in the country, whereby the youths in activism movement were able to push in and make sure that the governments pay attention to the aspects of the police brutality. We have seen transformative agendas also in innovation, in technological innovations, whereby youths are able to use the media to promote and educate people on their uses and their benefits. Recently, we've seen the case of the Not Too Young to Run bill, whereby not only just the advocacy of the people in the House of Reps and the Senate actually aiding that, we also saw the use of the media as a tool by the youths. The youths have been able to make Nigerians more involved in the governance sector, whereby youths are now more vocal in the forefront of this whole discussion in governance. We've seen how youths are now becoming more involved, even in our current councillorship elections that will be taking forth next year. We've seen the involvement of so many youths in those aspects. Youths are actually shaping and redirecting a full focused Nigeria. Our youths have been able to lead Nigeria in terms of the sports sectors, the educational sectors. In the educational sector, we've seen youths like Chimamanda, whereby she has been able to promote Nigeria in so many ways with her novels. We've seen cases of the fintech world, where we have OPay, Money Points, even PalmPay and the rest, being run by the youth. This sector has actually helped us in realizing an inflow of over $1.2 billion over the years. We've seen a change in the banking sector by the youths. OPay has actually won the best banking fintech sector in Nigeria, helping us with our financial transactions. These are what the youths are doing. So saying that the youths are lacking the ability to govern Nigeria, I think that's an outdated statement, because the youths have actually made sure that Nigeria is moving forward in their own ways, in their little ways that they've been able to do so. We've seen sectors of the youths, whereby we've had in the musical sector, the youths have been able to explode and make Nigeria into the limelight. We've seen cases of Burna Boy, Wizkid and Davido all being parts of the Grammy Awards. This has actually helped Nigeria in setting up with our pace. Nigeria has been set up in a higher pace. We've also seen cases, yes, we've seen cases of corruption, but our youths have been able to expose most of this corruption. We've seen the case of Very Dark Man using the media to always bringing out some recent issues that we've had in the country. We've also seen in examples of former Kano State Governor, Ganduje, whereby he was being exposed for his corrupt practices through the media. This can only be done by the youth and not the elderly people. The youth have been able to make the government more accountable. We have seen at least a 60% upgrade in the accountability of our governments. The accountability of our governments has actually promoted some of the improvements in our sectors. We've seen the youth actually pushing forward, also in the health system. We've had new ideas and ideologies bringing forth and coming forth. The youth also have also helped in realizing the main essence of the Labour Party. Knowing that the Labour Party is not just only a party for the bourgeoisie, but also a party for a socialist democracy, whereby the wealth of the nation is being harnessed by not just the top people, but also by the citizens of each country. Now the Labour Party has actually helped the youth to realize that we are not just only voting in the leaders, we are also looking at helping out in free health care. We are also looking at having a party that can bring up free education, and these are things that the youth do. Thank you.
Good day, my distinguished guests. I'm by name Okereke Chigoji, and I'm here to oppose the motion which says youths do not have the capacity to govern Nigeria. First of all, when you look at this, it's a very glaring notion. Youths are there's a saying that youths are the futures of tomorrow. Look at this educational attainment. First of all, when you look at the way education is easy now, due to the influx of social media, it's easy for people to get educational articles, thereby enlightening them and making them better. Okay, we also look at technological advancement. You see the influx of technology, the way it has taken over the whole world. It's stopping in some parts of the world, like somewhere like dead countries. But when youth come into this, youth can be able to use this change and bring out opportunities from this change. Because when youth are able to bring out opportunity from this change, you see that the economy will be thriving. You can see recently Bitcoin went over $100,000, and that is when people invest in that, you see that there will be very good returns and they will not struggle. Then I want to talk about evolution. Evolution is a scientific term. Evolution means when an organism comes into an extreme environment, its ability to adjust to that environment and thrive in that environment, that's what we call evolution. And not just thriving, but passing that threat to its protege, that's the children. And when this happens, you see that the children becomes more sophisticated and becomes better.
To let you know, so that these 6 people will go and do a little brainstorming before the last stage. So I start with this name, Stephen Arnold. Can you two hands together for her? Who is Stephen? Okay, Stephen, you are coming for the next stage. Ogechichi Manyaku. Benjamin Jato, you ready to the second stage? Anika Christian, you ready to the second stage? I can't hear your hand. Divine Okude, who is that? You ready to the second stage? And the last but not the least, Chigozu Okereke, who is that? Okay, these 6 will come up for the second and final stage. The 6th position to the 1st position. And the 6th position goes to Chigozu Okereke. Thank you very much. Congratulations. Congratulations. The 5th position goes to Stephen Anon. The 4th position goes to Divine Okude. The 3rd position goes to Anika Christian. Congratulations, honorable. And the 2nd position goes to either a man or a woman. The 3rd position goes to Second. The second position, or is it the first position? Second. You prefer the second?
Second.
It's the turn of second. Is it the turn of second?
Second.
Then the team has mandated me to call the first position goes to Ogechi and
by setting this space, and everybody will be able to know that Labour Party is a party that has an ideology of productivity, an ideology to grow an innovative political party that will integrate the youth, that the youth will have a say. You will be surprised. This is just a maiden edition. The next edition, we had so much plans to even make this thing to be online, that people will vote online. But the next edition will be more superb. I want to also say that there is an online media. The man here is an online media personnel. I invited him personally. I also want to say that while I know many of you have heard about Tony Elumelu Foundation. This man is one of the not product. He's one of the mentors in Tony Elumelu Foundation. Mentees in Tony Elumelu Foundation. So I don't want to talk so much about these people, because if I talk about the chairman of the panel of judges, he's a very humble person, and that is why sometimes I lack the word to analyze the kind of person he is. He is a very wealthy man.
Yes.
If you come closer to him, you will know how wealthy he is. But there is no assignment. There is no assignment I give him as a younger person who is his leader, that he will not go all out to accomplish. So I don't want to overpour us with this thing, so that we can round up, because we have another very short meeting before we depart. So I want to say also to the panel of judges, whatever we are going to receive, I mean in the executive council as our transport logistics, people are going to receive double. So I also want to
this person beside us, it is small but mighty. She is the legal advisor of Labour Party AMAC. Wow! And she was in the legal team of the tribunal. That is violent.
She prefers violent Adana Esquire.
That is it. And before I introduce the person beside me, I want us to give a round of applause. She's the latest PhD doctorate degree. My name is Dr. Blessing. Thank you very much.